Hey Wargamers, welcome back to the channel, Death from Above Wargaming. I'm Aaron and I'm here with more Battlytics excitement. Quick dose of the Gladiator for you tonight. All right, this is the GLD-5R. Now this one's not in the Kickstarter, but it was in the Proliferation Cycle Mech Pack, which is a very exciting pack. We did a review on it. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Some terrific sculpts and designs in there. The Gladiator is one of my favorites, one of Kevin's favorites. Kevin, an OG founder of the channel, absolutely loves the Gladiator. It was one of his go-to designs. And so, when they resculpted it, we were both very, very excited about it. Absolutely love it. So, done gushing about it. Let's talk about the actual nuts and bolts of this thing. Will it be good or will it stink? I don't know. Battlytics will tell us. But what we do know is it's a 55-ton inner sphere medium mech with a battle value of 1425. So that seems, to me, it seems a little bit high, but it is a 3075 era mech. So it does have some new tech on it, which is very, very cool. It's got improved jump jets. So its movement profile is 4, 6, and then 6. So it runs 6 and jumps 6, walks 4. It has 13 double heat sinks on it. It has a light fusion engine, very fancy. It has an XL gyro, even fancier. And then it has the rest of just the standard stuff. Armor mass is 11.5 tons. It gets it 100% coverage. It's 185 pips of armor on this Gladiator. So very, very good. It does have 2 hand actuators, so you can punch things. You can poke dudes in the eyes. You can do whatever you want with it. Pick up trees and smash dudes over the head. It's fantastic. And then in terms of weaponry, this is where it gets very interesting. So the standard Gladiator, like the original Gladiator, had 2 mediums, a PPC, and an SRM-6. This basically harkens back to that original design. It's got 2 ER medium lasers in the left arm. It's got a snub-nose PPC in the right arm. And it has an artemis-guided MML5 in the right torso. Thing also has a C3 slave and a Guardian ECM suite in the left torso. So it's got some interesting electronics on there. And again, it does have that Artemis system that's in the right torso. And we talked about the improved jump jets as well. So the C3 slave, I'm going to call this out. Battlytics really doesn't care about your electronics. Doesn't care if you have ECM. Doesn't care if you have a C3. It really looks at the individual mech alone. And those things really work in specific sort of scenarios, right? So you're paying some battle value for those things, so the efficiency in that regard doesn't take them into account. But I don't think it'll skew it that much, but let's see. Guys, offensive benchmarks, defensive benchmarks, efficiency, it's all coming up. Stay tuned. Gladiator Battlytics on the way. All right, so here it is, offensive benchmarks. So the first thing I notice is that it runs flat on heat, which isn't very exciting for me. I always like the ones that have crazy heat profiles. But this one does a respectable 141.7 points of damage. And again, that's baseline, that's optimized, that's redline, because you cannot overheat this mech. It has 26, basically 13 double heat sinks, so it can dissipate 26 points of heat. It can only build up 23 with its weapons, and even if it jumps, it can only build up 3 points of heat. Because, if my math serves me right, with improved jump jets, you build up basically half the amount of heat. So even if it jumps 6, it only builds up 3. So I think no matter what you do with this Gladiator, you can never overheat it, unless it's standing in lava or has an engine hit or something like that. So that's a good thing. It's a beginner-friendly mech. You can get in there, you can smash the buttons, you can shoot things. I like that. It's got lots of armor, so it'll survive a long time. Very, very cool. Let's look at the lethality index here. So a couple of things. Head hits, head kills. Sorry about that. They're about 10%, 9.3%. That's on par with everything else. Engine kills, not very high. Surprisingly, with the MML, I guess I was sort of thinking about it in the context of SRMs, but it's not an SRM. It's groups, I believe, in clusters of 5. So you only really have 4 things hitting at most. You're not generating a ton of critical hits. Your damage per hit's not bad, though. 8.3, that's very, very good, I think, for a 55-ton mech. And so most of the time, basically, you're just coring this thing out. The time to kill on this mech was 8.74. That's not bad. The average is 10. Anything over 10 is not great. Anything under 10, everything under 10 is good. So this is on the positive side of that, on the good side of that. And it did kill that javelin in the test scenario 99.1% of the time. By time it got to 12 turns, so not bad at all. So it definitely has some killing power. It has some big guns. It is an interesting mix of weapons. It doesn't look like it's a knockdown standalone killer, but it is the kind of mech that I think can wear things down over time. I'm sort of envisioning it paired with, with other mechs, trebuchets and things along these lines. It just, even catapults, right? They're just raining in missiles, damage going everywhere, and this thing can kind of come in and just further wear things down. I think it could work well in that sort of scenario. We'll see. But let's take a look at the defensive side. I'm curious to see how survivable it is with that 100% armor coverage. All right, so here it is. Looks beautiful. Armor distribution's great. Mobility analysis is great. Again, it's not seeing a lot of motive hits. It does have jump jets in the legs, so it has basically 6 critical slots populated in each leg. So there's only a 66% chance that you'll hit a leg actuator, which I think is probably more valuable than a jump jet, right? Like if I want to damage an opponent, I'd love to freeze a hip over taking out a jump jet. But that's just me. So I think it's well set up. Again, motive looks really, really good. Now, in terms of survivability, 87.8%. This is very, very, very high. Interestingly enough, the largest majority of deaths, which is so weird to me, comes from ammo. So it has that MML ammo in the right torso. It has basically 16.7% chance. Once you're in the right torso, 16.7% chance of hitting that ammo. And I believe there's 2, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just double check. I think there's 2 tons of ammo in that torso. Yeah, there's 2 tons, which honestly I don't think you need. You don't need 48 shots on your MML. Right? It's got 48 shots. It seems excessive. Extravagant amounts of ammo on the Gladiator. But I guess they ran out of stuff to put it in. I'm not sure. Give it a Beetle Active Probe or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, I digress. So ammo's the highest, basically the highest category of deaths. It's followed very closely by just coring the thing out, which is 4.4%. And then the remaining deaths are caused by engine deaths because it does have, in fact, that light engine. So, it brings it up just a little bit more than average, but it's not terrible. It's not like a standard XL engine on an IS mech where you knock off the torso and it's dead, which is good. It's like a clan engine. Basically, the light fusion is similar to a clan where it only has 2 engine criticals in the side torsos. So that to me is much better. I can deal with that. All right. So overall, defensively, for a 55-ton mech, this thing looks very, very good, very tough, which I like because it sort of goes back to the Gladiator name and sort of what you would imagine this rugged design that has survived, thousands of years to be, right? So I like that. But let's take a look at efficiency. Again, the battle value, it's not astronomical, but it does seem a little high, that C3, that ECM, driving that cost up a little bit. So let's take a look. All right, so here we are. Survey says 6.72. That's not bad. I mean, that is it's not like a must-have, but it is a reliable, this thing will do well in your force range of efficiencies. And I really like that. So, overall, again, survival rate, 87.8%. That's very, very good. The damage loss, meaning the separation of what we expect the thing to do in an optimized environment, and then we take away the deaths, the damage, and the deaths, right? And you can see that separation. Those are the two area, the blue and the purple up there in the top left. So the difference there is 5.3% over the 12 turns. That's not bad at all. So the effective ACD, meaning the damage that you might do, factoring in both the survival time and the damage and so on, is 134.1. That's still pretty darn good. for a 55-ton mech. That's very, very good. So the snub-nose PPC, by the way, is pretty darn good. I really like this weapon. You know, it does have that weird, like, sort of variable damage based on what range you're at. But let me just take a look here. So at short range, it does 10 points of damage. At medium range, it does 8 points of damage. And then at long range, it does 5 points of damage. And the range profile, I believe, on this thing is pretty good. Yeah, short goes out to 9 hexes, medium to 13, and long to 15. So I really love the fact that it's tough because the long range, that, like, to get to that, you know, that like that last two, it's really not bad. Like, you get into medium range very quickly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's only 2 hexes between when you can start shooting and when you get into medium range. It's a very weird sort of split between the ranges, but I guess it was designed like that on purpose. So I'm into it. But it does build up a lot of heat, but again, not a problem for this Gladiator. So, all right. Again, I'm like digressing all over the place, but hopefully that's a fun little tidbit about the snub-nose PPC. So let's talk about gunnery sensitivity. It's fairly low, 0.4. And what that basically means is that you're only gaining 0.4 efficiency as the gunnery increases or gets better from 4 to 3, 3 to 2. On average, that basically that slope of that line. And actually, if you look at the curve, right, you're gaining pretty well from 4 to 3 to 2, and then it kind of levels out, and you're only gaining like 0.2, 0.3 per increase. So playing this thing at like gunnery 1, gunnery 0, absolutely not valuable. Gunnery 2 is, I think, the best bang for buck. Playing it at gunnery 3, you're still doing pretty well with it. Gunnery 4, for me, I wouldn't do it. It does rely on that snub-nose PPC and those ER mediums. Now, remember, the ER mediums, these are not clan ER mediums. These are inner sphere ER mediums, so their long range is 12. So basically, when you're in medium range for the snub-nose PPC and you want to fire those lasers, get that MML into action, like, you're at a +2, +4 modifier. +4 modifier, long range with a gunnery 4, like, you ain't hitting nothing. It's really not that great. So again, I would keep it in that 3, maybe even that 2 range for this particular mech. Now, all right, moving forward, let's talk about rolls. Let's talk about how this thing does in terms of threat, and we'll go from there. All right, so the 3 rolls that I picked for the Gladiator are Cavalry, I picked Vanguard, and I picked Skirmisher. All right. Now, you might say to me, Aaron, you crazy lunatic, why would you pick Cavalry for this particular mech? I will tell you why. 4.6 is not particularly fast, especially for a mech that's 55 tons, right? It's not particularly fast. However, this thing can hammer the jump jets literally every turn, never build up heat, alpha strike, no scope 360, do all sorts of stunts in midair, and it just doesn't build up heat. So as far as I'm concerned, you can jump this thing 6 over difficult terrain and keep up with, much faster and lighter mechs. I mean, you can keep up with a 5.8 mech, no problem. Because remember, you're not paying for facing changes, you're not paying for anything. Now, again, that's going to reduce your gunnery efficiency, your ability to hit as you're doing this. But you do that to get close and keep up with your main lance. And once you're in medium range, once you're in that 13 hex range for that snub-nose PPC, you just go back to walking around like a normal human being, and you can go hog wild. So that was my thought process there. Let me know if you think I'm crazy. Interested in your opinions. The second role I picked was Vanguard. I think this is amazing, up the gut, like Wolverine-esque type of survivor. Like, if I really wanted to troll Dan, I would play like Gladiators, Wolverines, and other like really obnoxious 55-ton mechs that like Bushwhackers, I think, are another one that have high survivability. Like, just mechs along those lines that just refuse to die. The infamous Black Knight, the zombie mech, right? Like, that type of lance is really annoying for your opponent because they just can't easily kill this thing, right? They just have to work through it. And I love that about this mech. So putting this mech front and center in a Vanguard role, or even in a lance of other very difficult, hard to bring down mechs, I think is really, really cool. And again, with ECM, which we didn't really talk about it, But with ECM, depending on which optional rules you're playing, that can also increase the survivability of this mech a little bit as well, and its lance mates if they're close enough, if they're within that ECM bubble. The other role I picked for this thing was Skirmisher. So again, the jump jets are the improved jump jets are really, really good. I actually mentioned this in the Black Python one, but the only time I've ever really played against improved jump jets, and I was like, wow, these things are obnoxious and amazing, was when we were at Adepticon, and Ray was using a Phoenix Hawk 2C. And I don't remember what variant it was, but it had improved jump jets, and the thing was just like all over the hex map, like all day. And I was like, how is this thing moving? How's this thing moving so fast? And it was improved jump jets. And I mean, you can just do whatever you want. They're amazing. And so in that regard, you can get over a mountain. You can jump over a forest. I mean, 6 hexes is pretty significant. You can do whatever you want, and you can alpha strike, and then you can jump back into cover. You can do whatever it is that you need to do. You can be at whatever range you need to be at. I think the improved jump jets, again, are absolutely phenomenal. And I think they make this mech so much better than it's actually rated. Even though, again, the cost is driven up by the C3, the cost is driven up by the ECM. I think the improved jump jets are so much better than regular jump jets. It's just not even funny. So anyway, last couple of comments. Love the damage coverage on this mech. It's got arm-mounted weapons. It can look left. It can look right. It can look in its rear arc. It can shoot some things. It's very, very helpful, especially if those pesky locusts or wasps or urban mech lambs get in your rear arc. You can deal with them. ACD cap 76.9%. So that's not bad. That's pretty reliable. It doesn't really have a ton of variable damage. The Artemis MML5 is really helping a lot there, bringing a lot of the missiles home. So that's very, very good. But otherwise, I mean, that's about it. That is the Gladiator in a nutshell. What do you think? What do you think about the Gladiator 5R? Very, very cool, I think. But that said, guys, head on over to Aries Games and Minis. Buy yourself a Proliferation Cycle pack right now. And you can enjoy this delightful Gladiator 5R. Also at Aries Games and Minis, you got the books, you got the dice, you got the novels, got awesome terrain. He's got all sorts of stuff over there. So definitely check it out. Felder cases, I actually just got a few of those because, you know, I'm always buying more things that I shouldn't be buying. But it is what it is. Aries Games and Minis, my go-to spot for everything BattleTech. So definitely check out Derek over at Aries Games and Minis. Excellent service, excellent prices, and fast shipping. That said, speaking of awesome, guys, again, subscribe, like, leave a comment. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. You'll be saying it in your sleep. Definitely leave a like. It's a little thumbs up button. It's free to click. That really helps get the videos and the BattleTech genre out into the void of the internet. The cesspool that is is the internet. The more people that play BattleTech, the better. That's what I say. So let's like the videos and leave a comment. Again, I want to know what you think about the Gladiator. I really, really like this. I like this as a reinvention. And the cool thing, somebody made this comment. I don't know if it was on a jump point or if I was just talking to some folks, but what's cool about some of these new designs and some of the Il-Clan refits is that the weaponry matches what's on the model, right? So you don't need to go through hoops like if you do like to WYSIWYG, right? You don't have to, but if you do like it, you wouldn't have to worry about it because looking at the Gladiator model, it's got 2 lasers on the arm, it's got the big thing on the other arm, it's got the missile rack, so it's very, very cool in that regard. I love all this stuff. So anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you want to get more involved, guys, head on over to Patreon. It's as little as $1 a month. There's $5 tier, $10 tier. There's an elite tier if you're super cool. But all of those tiers offer different perks. You can check it out over on Patreon. And you can join for free as well now if you want to see, you know, some of the titles and things, the posts and things that are going up. I don't know what else you can see as a free member. But to get access to the posts, you do need to be a patron. And thank you to all of our patrons out there. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. You're keeping the lights on, keeping the cameras rolling, so thank you very much. But that said, I'm all done. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this review of the Gladiator. And, of course, stay tuned. As you know, always great stuff coming from Death from Above Wargaming. Have a good one.